Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're partying together a $2,000 mini ITX gaming PC.
And it's going to be meshlicious. Yeah, that's the name of this case right here, the meshlicious. It's going to be a very small, compact, high airflow build, but will it perform well? Well, we'll find out. But first, a word from today's sponsor.
Today's video is brought to you by Silicon Power and their US70 Gen 4 NVMe SSD, featuring great price to performance with read speeds up to 5,000 megabytes per second and write speeds up to 4,400 megabytes per second, being built with TLC flash and also coming in capacities of 1 and 2 terabytes. We love to use Silicon Power SSDs in our gaming PCs because of their value for money offering compared to other SSD manufacturers. If you're looking for a no-nonsense quality NVMe Gen 4 SSD for your next gaming PC build, then you should look no further than the US70 from Silicon Power. Check the link down below to learn more, and special thanks to Silicon Power for sponsoring today's video.
So this build is going to be really fun because it's using all new parts. It is using RTX 3000 series, and it's also mini ITX, and it's going to be in one of the smallest cases we built in. This is kind of the fun part about this build, which Matt will talk about once we get to the case, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's probably gonna take us a lot of time because mini ITX is a handful to build in.
So how about you go ahead and talk about each individual part and how it makes up this gaming PC build.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Intel i7-10700F. It's an 8-core, 16-threaded processor. It's pretty much on par with something like the Ryzen 7 5800X or the 3800X. You know, it's pretty close to those as far as gaming goes. You're gonna get similar FPS. And to go with this beautiful motherboard, I'm going a little bit out of order here, so don't get crazy, but we have the ASRock Z590 Mini ITX. I honestly didn't even know / forgot that they made like the really high-end boards in mini ITX. And just real quick, I just gotta show you guys
Look how tiny it is.
Look at that.
It's so
tiny. It is the cutest thing ever, but we did have to go with mini ITX on a few of the parts because it has to fit inside this build. That's one thing you gotta remember when you go with the mini ITX case is you gotta spend extra money on stuff like this. And going back to that i7, to cool it, we have this ZoomFlow X240 Evo. This is a 240mm AIO that's an all-in-one liquid cooler. You never have to top off the fluid or anything. It doesn't evaporate. You're just good to go for many years. And it's pretty nice looking. Don't be fooled by the black picture. It says it's the snow edition. Now for RAM, we have this Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. This stuff is really awesome because it is just extremely fast. It has really tall RGB heatsinks on it. And let's be honest, it's Corsair. It's really high quality stuff. 3200 MHz, more than enough for this Intel i7. Now for storage, this is probably one of the most baller drives we've done. This is a 2 terabyte Silicon Power NVMe SSD, but the catch is it's Gen 4. So this drive is probably like a $200 plus drive. You really could save a lot of money on storage if you just get a normal NVMe Gen 3 drive, but you know, this build's already so expensive. Why not just go Gen 4?
And look at that, an RTX 3060. Now, you may be saying, well, graphics cards are overpriced, and yeah, they really are, but we've noticed that the 3060 is coming down in price on eBay. It is still around like $700, which is what it should not be, but it's better than $1,000, right? So baby steps here. But the 3060 with 12 gigs of VRAM is a really awesome card for gaming, live streaming, and all sorts of fun stuff, and we're excited to use it once again. Now for the power supply. As Jackson mentioned, we had to go mini ITX with a couple things here. The power supply being one of those. This is an SFX 550 watt 80 plus gold power supply. Now, I've noticed small form factor power supplies have become much more affordable recently, and that was one of the main reasons why mini ITX builds were really expensive. So it was kind of cool to see that, well, we can actually get a 550 watt. Now 550 watt is going to be enough power. From our testing, this whole build probably will pull at most like 350, 400 watts, giving a good amount of headroom to, well, have enough wattage. And a 550 watt 80 plus gold is a really high quality unit, so it should work perfectly fine for this build. But if you can get a little more wattage and you want a little more headroom, don't hesitate, just do it. But we're fine with this one. All right, it's time to unbox the meshlicious. This case is known for its mesh and the fact that it is mini ITX, and I'm gonna see if I can actually pull it out this way.
There's some handle action going on back here.
We're just gonna.
Now this case does not sit upright, or does it?
It does.
Okay.
So it goes like this.
Oh, so NZXT,
yes.
What was it, the
H1. It's basically the H1, but we got mesh all the way around. So the idea is awesome airflow, even in the back. Like there's holes in the back, there's holes here, there's just holes everywhere. So you're not gonna be able to see in very easily. I mean, you will, because there's like mesh holes. Like you can actually kind of see all the way through the case. Like,
we have lots of RGB too.
Can you see me through here? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can see.
But yeah, mesh all the way through, so perfect for airflow. The only downside is it's very small. all. So how much airflow will that actually generate? Like, will you actually have good airflow when everything's super compact in here? I don't know, but I really want to build in this thing. It looks cool. It's probably going to take a lot of our energy to figure out how to build in this thing. So let's just get to some time-lapse footage.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this $2,000 meshlicious gaming PC all booted up and ready to go, let's talk about a couple benchmarks real quick. Now we decided to test this PC in a couple of titles, those being Call of Duty Cold War, Borderlands 3, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Apex Legends. Now with Call of Duty Cold War, we actually decided to test this PC at 4K. Now, hear me out, a 3060 is not designed for 4K gaming, but with DLSS technology from NVIDIA, you can actually, well, play at 4K and get pretty good results using the DLSS performance mode, and we ended up getting an average of over 70 FPS. So in theory, the RTX 3060 in games that support DLSS, or AMD's new feature that will be supported on, well, AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, you could play at 4K at over 60 FPS with a 3060. Yes, these cards are really expensive right now, so you're not getting a really good value 4K gaming PC, but when the market does get better and you can pick up a 3060 at MSRP, being able to game at 4K at the price point that the 3060 is at is actually very impressive. Next up, in Borderlands 3 and the rest of the games we tested, we decided to test at 1440p, and on high settings with the built-in benchmark, we averaged 72 FPS. The RTX 3060 paired with the i7-10700F just makes perfect sense. It's a great combo where you can do some live streaming, you can do content creation, and also play pretty much any game you throw at it at 1440p or 1080p high refresh rate, and Borderlands 3 is a very demanding game, especially the built-in benchmark, so lowering the settings a little bit would give you a high refresh rate experience if you're looking for that kind of gaming experience. Next up is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is another AAA title that we love to test on high settings using the built-in benchmark at 1440p. We got an average of 91 FPS. Again, this combo works really well together. The 3060 and i7-10700 can play pretty much any AAA title on the market, but at this moment I have to talk about the case real quick, the meshlicious. My goodness, this case makes this PC run super cool. I had my doubts, don't get me wrong. I love the concept of mesh all the way around, but the fact that it is a mini ITX build, it's really hard to get proper airflow throughout the case. But the fact that we are only using two fans, the two fans included on the AIO, and we are still getting 60 degrees Celsius all the way across the board, I am very, very impressed with this PC case, and I think it's my favorite mini ITX case. I'm ready to deem it that. It is my favorite mini ITX case on the market right now, regardless of price point. So if you're building a new PC that's mini ITX and you love the way this thing looks and you want really good temperatures without sacrificing on size, well, the meshlicious is my favorite case. Hands down, definitely my recommendation. And last but certainly not least is Apex Legends, which we tested at max settings at 1440p, and we ended up getting an average of a little over 100 FPS. Overall, this is one of my favorite PC builds that we have built on the channel. Only thing that I am going to mention is the fact that we are using the Silicon Power US70 2TB Gen 4 SSD. Really awesome SSD, but the fact that we're using a 10th gen CPU in this motherboard, a Z590 motherboard, means we're not getting the full Gen 4 support of this SSD. So if you were copying this build at home, pick up just a normal Gen 3 SSD or go with an 11th gen Intel CPU if you plan on using this Gen 4 drive because, well, you're not getting Gen 4 speeds and you're paying a fortune for an SSD, a 2TB SSD that is over $300 and not being able to get its full speed. So do keep that in mind. But overall, this build is really awesome for the money. If you want to pick up any of the parts from today's video, links in the description down below will be affiliate links, and they will help us out. But yeah, love this mini ITX build. Very happy that we were able to build the meshlicious. How we're going to bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
Alright guys, so we just got done benchmarking the meshlicious gaming PC, and to our surprise it actually ran really cool, really quiet, and our FPS was absolutely amazing.
And considering the fact there's only 2 fans in this thing that are on the radiator, this thing was running at 60 degrees Celsius on the GPU and CPU pretty much all the time, which is very impressive for really any sort of PC build. And just push that back on. But I mean, yeah, all the mesh, it really works, and I like how modular this case is. It's super easy to take apart, and just look how tiny it is. Compare it to an H510 right here, which is a compact mid-tower. It's a really small case, and once you actually read the manual a little bit and learn about some of the quirks about it, like installing the AIO first before the motherboard, remember to do that if you copy this build, it's a pretty cool building experience, and I highly suggest you consider this case for your next build.
Now, of course, with building mini ITX, there are some extra costs, so keep that in mind. We did have to go with the mini ITX Z590, and those can get really expensive. We also had to do an SFX power supply, which actually have really came down in price. So realistically, we might have maybe spent an extra $100 to $150 on just going mini ITX form factor, but other than that, we think it was really worth it just because this is such a cool case and it's actually pretty easily upgradable in the future.
So if you want to pick up any of the parts from today's video, links in the description down below will be affiliate links and they will help us out. Special thanks to Subbed. I'm not really sure how else to say their name, but yeah, the meshlicious, awesome case. Buy that case, link in the description down below. Special thanks again to them for sending this case over for this PC build.
So if you guys haven't already, check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Hey, one of those channels we really want you guys to check out is Toasty Clips because we're trying to grow that channel ASAP.
We're posting a lot of highlights from Twitch streams. That's mainly what we post on there, highlights from Twitch streams with our PC builds, funny hot sauce things, and a bunch of other stuff. So link down below, Toasty Clips. See you guys later. Goodbye.